green flower was injured to lure them into a trap, and he just wanted to find them and accompany her to perform. Ting asks him what kind of guy he is as he is scary, but everything has passed. His revenge has been avenged, and he has become a hero of the Nuwa kingdom. They both have won. Yunmu sadly says that this war caused him to lose his teacher, who was like a father to him, and his sister Shuang. After losing her mother in childhood, he asks Ting if she thinks they have won. She says that she actually should have hated her mother, but the way she looked before she died makes her so sad. Yunmu says she is a victim, after all. She must be very happy that Ting could escape from reincarnation. Ting asks if she did something wrong. Yunmu says it does not matter now if it is right or wrong. Even if he was called the hero of Nuwa Kingdom, he had not actually done a few right things. It is either causing trouble or on the way to causing trouble. It is precisely because everyone makes mistakes, so only when they know the right direction in life and only when they have hope. Yunmu and others are going back. The queen says it is too early for them to return. She adds that he can get some more fruits from the divine tree. There is a special treat for him. He thanks her and says 5 are enough for them. Today's energy fluctuations are most suitable for opening cracks in space, and if he does not leave, he does not know how much he will have to wait. He says he will see her soon, and he will definitely come back for Sister Shuang. Gangsu opens the gate of space. The queen watches them go and says it was all like a dream. Ting tells her it is time for them to return to their lives. On the way back, Xing asks Yunmu how he dares to take too much fuxi fruit. It is a pity that they have asked him to get more. After they are gone, the queen notices that a branch of the fuxi has been cut. She knows who can dare to do this. Yunmu has planted that branch in his star world, which has started growing. A servant comes to Lord Todd and informs him there are energy fluctuations in space cracks. The Lord is surprised to hear that they are coming back. It had been a long time, and he thought they all had been wiped out. He orders the servant to notify the representatives of other sects. They can go to lead people. Yunmu and others walk out of the cracks. President welcomes them and says seeing that they all are okay is great. He adds that he has not seen them for a few days, and they seem to have grown up a lot there. The representative of the Holy Heaven sect looks around to find King. Yunmu asks the Excellency what he is looking for. He tells him there is no need to look anymore as he is the last one. There is no one in the back. The Lord asks what Yunmu is talking about and where the people of the Chaosian sect are. Yunmu pushes his hand on his shoulder and says there's no one left. They have died. The representative becomes furious. He grabs Yunmu from the shirt and asks him to make it clear. Yunmu smiles and says the people of the Chaosian sect are dead. He asks him what the representative of the Holy Heaven sect has to do with them. He leaves him and apologizes as he lost his temper. Lord Todd addresses them and says the whole universe war is a successful conclusion. Their performance is very good. He is very happy to have these young people in this era. Then he says that everyone looks tired. The Union has prepared a car for everyone to take everyone back to rest. But Yunmu will stay here and tells him to come with him. In the office, Yunmu tells everything to Lord Todd. He replies that Yunmu killed Memoralda and King and enjoys this news. He adds that those two guys deserve to die. Their ambitions were too great. Even if Yunmu had not done it, he would have killed them sooner or later. He also tells him the Chaosian sect is completely abolished, but the Holy Heaven sect differs. With the disappearance of their leader, they will definitely send someone to investigate, and Yunmu will also fall into it passively. He should join the Night's Watch and inherit the title of his teacher, Lai Brone's Thundering Night Dog. Then they can protect Yunmu. Yunmu smashes his hand on the table and asks Todd how he could send him alone to complete such a dangerous mission. Todd stands up and admits there was a problem with his deployment then, and he lost an elite like Night Dog. So, he hopes Yunmi can inherit his title. After all, he is Brown's most valued student. Yunmu grinds his teeth, thinking that the old fox, in order to get him to join, is actually using the teacher to pressure him. He asks Todd to answer his question first. He asks if there is any way to return to Nuwa Realm. Todd replies that as long as Yunmu joins the Night Watch and accumulates enough feats, Todd can open a space crack for him alone. Yunmu leaves the office, saying that he will think about it first. After he leaves, Todd writes a letter. He calls a servant, hands him that letter, and orders him to give this to the Holy Heaven sect. Then he smiles and says Yunmu should not blame him. After all, no matter how good the quality of a jade is, what is not carefully carved is just a piece of waste stone. And punches Yunmi and throws him away. He asks why this is happening and if Yunmu is not strong enough. He cries and says Yunmu saves them from water and fire every time, so why did he not save his sister this time? Xing grabs his arm and tells him to stop fighting. He says he was also there this time. If Anne wants to vent, he can fight Xing this time. and loses his patience and starts crying loudly and helplessly. Nuoji holds his shirt from the back and asks if he is okay. She tells him not to blame Anne as, in his eyes, Yunmu is omnipotent. He walks forward, saying he is not blaming Anne. Yunmu goes into his room and dives into the water. He thinks he is still too weak. In the face of great forces, he will still be unable to change anything as before. Ha has to grow quickly to the point where he can compete with them. He cannot afford more accidents. He opens the shadow system. He thinks that if 3 shadow spirits hang up to practice and then count his own cultivation achievements, his cultivation speed will be 4 times that of others. But 4 times is still slow. He does not have much time. He needs to be faster. In that case, he will condense more shadow spirits. He orders the shadow system to start condensing more shadow spirits. Zai and Nuoji are in a room together. Zai is looking at something on the screen. She says she has not seen Yunmu for a month and asks Nuoji if he is blaming himself for Sister Shuang's affairs. Nuoji replies he has been locked up in the dormitory by himself, and she thinks Sister Shuang's incident has hit him quite hard. Zai says the influence on Xing was actually very great. When he returned, he went to the Lord of Vega City for special training. If this goes on, those two will not be able to catch up with that stinky Shemel. Suddenly, she sees something on the screen, and her eyes open wide. She tells Nuoji that someone has challenged Bai Zerui on the dimensional battlefield. Nuoji asks who is that confident to challenge the second master of Bai. Zai replies it is Yunmu. Bai Zerui asks him if he is Lai Yunmu from Lai Zong. He says he is courageous as he dares to challenge him. He adds that although Yunmu is the best of the younger generation, it does not mean he can smooth out the differences between the levels. Yunmu replies that he already knows. After practicing for a month, he just wants to see his level. Zerui replies it is so arrogant, so he has to give him some color to see. The audience watching them on the screen says Yunmu has gone crazy as he has challenged the Super Stringer. Indeed, the 3 battle classes of stringers, including Super Stringers, Holy Stringers, and Stringers, are almost impossible to overcome by strides. Super Stringers are divided into 3 levels: Super String, Extraordinary, and Transcendent. Bai Zerui reached an extraordinary level early. Nuoji and Sai are also worried for Yunmu now. Bai Zerui says since Yunmu is determined to challenge, he will also not be polite. Yunmu says he does not want him to be. Zerui starts the match by using the unique secret technique of the Bai family, the Remnant Sword Whirlwind Leg Remnant Moon. Yunmu escapes it and asks why his secret technique is so slow. He swiftly approaches Zerui and says he should not have drained the water. Zerui jumps back and wonders when this kid comes by. He smirks and tells the young kid not to be so arrogant. He will not be merciful next time. Yunmu tells him to hurry up and don't waste his time. Zerui again approaches him, saying the next move will become a nightmare of Yunmu's life. He uses his special kick to attack and says it is over. Suddenly, there is smoke all over the field. But when the smoke clears, it seems that Yunmu has blocked his attack. Then he uses his great flame art and burns Zerui. This way, he defeats him in no time. The audience is shocked that Yunmu got a Super Stringer so easily and wonders what his current strength is. Yunmu thinks that his speed and defense have been greatly improved, and even the temperature of the flame art has been raised by several gears. The foxy fruit is really great. He recalls the time 10 days ago. He was holding the fruit in his hand and wondering if he should eat it as only 2 were left. But then he eats it as he wants to become strong. It tastes terrible. But suddenly, he starts absorbing the surrounding string force. He wonders why this is happening. The system starts warning him as the power of the astral world is being sucked away. It tells him to replenish it immediately, or the astral world will be irreversibly damaged. Yunmu has no other way but to use his family's money. So he opens his inventory and gives the system all his string crystals to sustain the astral world. Now he thinks about it and says it is worth it as he has become much stronger. He goes to his sister's store and asks her to give him all the string crystals in the store. She asks him if he has not just finished searching a few days ago and why he is here again. He replies that he has run out of it before and is taking a little spare. She gives him a box and says these are the last ones. Standing there, Yunmu gets the call from Xing. He is happy to see Yunmu finally out of the costume. Yunmu asks him if there have been any results of the things he asked him to investigate about before. Xing replies the Lord of Vega City does not know how to return to the newer realm. If she knew, she would not let them participate in the World War. But the Vega City War Saint contacted the Poison Saint. If they can get the poison of the whole heavenly sect, the other party can help them make the antidote. She is a genius who obviously had the opportunity to enter the level of the Saint of War but was delayed by the practice of poison. But he is afraid that she is the only one in the entire continent who can cure the poison of the Holy Heaven sect. But if Yunmu wants to invite the poison saint to come out, there will be a cost. Yunmu says he understands it. There is no free lunch in the world, but as long as Sister Shuang can be saved, he will try anyway. Yunmu is sitting in a restaurant to see his senior teen ag. He comes there and sees Yunmu sitting there already. Yunmu asks him what he can do for him. Tang sits and tells him that the selection and competition of the newcomers to the God of War temple is about to begin, and the Jiefeng courtyard will send new elites to the selection. Yunmu wishes them success. Tan says that, per custom, a team leader is needed to lead them to the selection. This team leader was initially supposed to be held by teacher Lai Brown. Tang hopes Yunmu can complete that task instead of the teacher. Hearing that, he stands up and says he does not have time to care for the kids. Tang says these students are also the last class brought by the teacher. If Yunmu takes this task, the teacher will be very happy. Hearing that, Yunmu pauses and tells the senior to send him to the meeting place. He might go, but he should not have much hope for him. Then he leaves. Tang says he believes Yunmu will go. At Jiefeng City's courtyard, some students are sitting and waiting for Yunmu to come. Anlu asks Jiajia if the senior Yunmu will come today. Jiajia replies that he is the top one of the new generation. There is no way he would be their team leader. Shen Chen, training to carry his blade, says he thinks it is all blown out about Yunmu. Anlu gets angry as he says bad things about her idol and wants to beat Chen. But why Zinran holds her back? Jiang Yuji, who is reading a book, tells them not to make noise. It seems someone is coming. Yunmu is flying in the sky above them and says it seems he is not welcome here. Anlu thinks she is dreaming, so asks Zinran to pinch her. Yunmu lands on the ground. His beautiful wings amaze students and say it is a perfect match for seniors. Yunmu asks them if they are the elite squad at this time. Chen replies yes and says he is their captain. Yunmu looks at him weirdly and asks if an elite should be this week. He comments that Jiefeng City is really getting worse every time. Chen considers it his insult and asks if he wants to fight him. Yunmu hears that and says they can fight. It is time to teach him a lesson. Chen gets ready to fight and says he will give him some color to see today. He runs to attack him. Yunmu asks if it is actually a string force as it is not even close to it. However, the knife is too impetuous and it seems full of momentum, but it is full of loopholes. Chen gets closer to him and is about to strike. Yunmu says his pet can fight better than Chen. His raven goes against Chen and blocks his attack with its wings. Yunmu says that's what he was saying. Even his crow can easily take his knife. The crow throws his knife away. Yunmu says Chen cannot even hold a knife, saying that he is weak is actually praising him. Chen grabs his knife, attacks again, and says it is not over yet. Yunmu throws him to the ground effortlessly and asks if they all were planning to kill him. He mentions that their determination is enough, but their strength is still far behind. While lying there, Chen says one day, he will make Yunmu show his strength to fight with him. Yunmu says he is starting to like him a little bit. Although they already know, he says he still would like to introduce himself. His anime is Yunmu, and he will be their team leader from today on. He will lead them to win the trial. There will be countless dangers encountered in the trial. There is even a risk of dying at any time. So if they want to leave, they should take advantage of it now. But if they want to follow him, they should know that. 3 days later, the trial begins. The first test of the Temple of War is too difficult, and only those who get the heart of the Earth Dragon can pass it. Anlu asks Yunmu if the Iron Dragon is strong. He replies it is not. It is just a gold crystal little monster. She gets scared and says they are just black crystals, so how can they possibly beat it? Yunmu says as long as they learn to cooperate, even if the opponent's string strength is 1 level higher than theirs, it is not a problem. On their way, they see a team fighting the Iron Wall Dragon before them. They ask him if they should go and help them. He replies it is their prey so they should not rob them. He tells them to go to the depths of the desert. When they reach there, they cannot find anything at all. It is strange. The map clearly says that the iron-walled earth dragons are concentrated in the depths of the desert. Chen gets angry and kicks something, saying they cannot even see the shadow of a dragon here. Other teams must have cleaned up the earth dragons on the outskirts of the desert. Now they cannot complete the test first. Yunmu tells him to pay attention to his feet. All of a sudden, the ground starts shaking. Yunmu asks Chen to get out of there. Then, a dragon emerges from the earth and throws Chen in the air. The dragon is an Iron Wall Earth Dragon King. Yunmu tells everyone to get ready for the battle. Anlu asks what they should do about Chen. The dragon roars and attacks her. Zinran comes in front of her to cover her. She removes her glasses, uses her power to control, and orders the dragon to stop. Yumi finds her controlling powers interesting. She calls Jiajia to come and help her. He grabs his strings and gets ready. But when he jumps in front of the dragon, it starts roaring. He gets scared when he comes at him and starts running away. Yunmu tells him to trust his team. Yuji tells Jayajia to run towards him. He has read that the nerves of the earth dragon knee joint are located under the 5th stone armor of the thigh. He just has to catch the moment it leaves its legs. As soon as he finds it, he launches a spear at his legs. It hits the aim, and the dragon stops moving. Anlu cheers Yuji, and they all think they have done the job. But they are stunned to see that it is not dead yet. Yuji notices something bad and warns others to run fast as the dragon will start string skills. The dragon was attacked by the thrones emerging from the ground. They all think it is over for them, but at the exact moment, Chen appears on the scene. Yunmu looks at him and says it is good that he is back but too slow. Chen jumps to attack the dragon and asks his fellow why they all have dead expressions. He hits the dragon with his blade, which gets smashed to the ground. Chen smirks and asks others if they saw how he cut the strongest meat shield. Yuji asks him how he came back. Chen tells him to shut up and not question their captain as he saves them. The dragon rises again, but this time, the whole team is assembled and prepared to counterattack. Chen tells them to listen to his command. He says he will carry the damage by taking the attack. Jayajia attacks its horns. Yuji is looking for an opportunity to attack its weakness again. Xintran continues to launch control to create offensive opportunities for them. Anlu keeps adding protection and blessings to everyone. Yunmu looks at them and thinks it is really unexpected. Although everyone is not very strong, the tacit understanding of cooperation is quite good. Being called an elite team is not entirely groundless. They finally make the dragon fall with effective teamwork. They gather around. Anlu excitedly tells Yunmu that they have defeated the golden crystal dragon. Yunmu likes their work and thinks that these guys are not that bad. Yuji points at a spot on its body and tells them that according to the book, the location of the heart is probably here. He tells Chen to cut that side with a knife. He starts cutting. As they open the skin and look inside, Yuji becomes worried. Upon Chen's asking about the reason, he replies that he can see the heart, but he does not know why the organs are illuminated. It is unusual. Suddenly he realizes that this dragon is not dead. Instead, it is evolving. The dragon opens its eyes and a blast hits them. The others are shocked to see that and do not know what is happening. That blast pushes away Chen and Yuji. They tell everyone to run as the Dragon King has evolved. When in the air, Chen sees an attack coming and kicks Yuji away to save him. Yuji lands on the ground, stabilizes himself, and asks him what he is doing. But then he is stunned when he sees Chen being stabbed by the dragon's horn. The Dragon King is resurrected. It has become stronger and bigger, but the worst is that it is gathering his companions. Yuji tells others to hold off these earth dragons around them and tells Anlu to hurry up, climb, and save Chen. But they all see she has already climbed the horn to help him. She calls Chen an idiot and says he definitely knows how to be a hero. Chen is breathing with difficulty due to the pain. He asks her what she is doing there and tells her to run away. She replies that she is a medical stringer and is her duty, so he must stop talking nonsense. Her task is to get everyone back alive. Suddenly, the dragon rushes towards her, roaring. Seeing it coming, she feels her body with fear. But before it reaches there, someone beheads it in a single strike. It's Yunmu. He tells them that they have done a great job. They can leave the rest to him. He uses his flame art technique to break down the horns. Chen gets free but is about to fall. Yunmu grabs him by the leg and asks if he is still alive. Chen replies to him to leave him and save the others. Yunmu tells him not to worry as they will all be okay. The other three are stuck in between those dragons. Jayajia tells them he is really happy to be friends and team up together. Yuji asks him if he has started saying his last words, but one of them suddenly burns in a great flame. They are amazed to see such powerful flames. Then, the dragon behind them gets slaughtered. They look behind and say it seems they do not have to die. Xintran asks if there is no problem with seniors taking action during the challenge. Yunmu says there is no problem with that. The reason why the team leader was set up is to deal with accidents. He tells them to leave the dragons to him and protect Chen. Now, only the Dragon King is left to kill. Yunmu flies towards it. Yuji asks Jayajia what he is stunned about. He replies that Senior is so handsome. He wonders if they all can become so strong 1 year from now. Yunmu attacks him with the blade, but it does not work as it is not even scratched. He thinks he is worthy of being the Dragon King of the Iron Wall. The hardness of his skin is not at the same level as the minions. His blade is not working at all. In this case, he has to try the other method. It is time to occupy its mind. As it opens its mouth, Yunmu gets inside it. Jayajia starts screaming that the dragon has swallowed the senior. Yuji tells him to wait as it seems the Iron Wall Dragon King is under attack. Then, he has been cut into pieces instantly. Yunmu cut it from the inside. He comes out having the heart in hands and is covered in blood. He says this guy only has a hard outer skin, but his inner is delicate. Chen tells Anlu not to waste her strong force as he knows he cannot be saved. She tells him to stop talking frustratingly. Others cheer him up and tell him to hold on as they cannot hold on without him. Yunmu comes there and asks why they are crying. They ask him to find a way to save Chen. Her string force can barely sustain the bleeding. There is no way to help this dog whole. Yunmu tells the system to analyze the treatment method. The system completes the analysis and says that the ordinary treatment plan for the other parts of bodies has been effective. Only advanced medicines, such as the holy water of life, can help him reshape his heart. Hearing about the heart issues and seeing the dragon's heart in his hand, he thinks of implanting it in him and asks the system if it is possible. It replies that a non-repulsive reaction may exist, but it should be possible. He goes near him and tells Anlu to get out of the way first. Yunmu lifts him with one hand. Anlu tells the senior not to be rough with him as he is a patient. Yunmu ignores her and asks Chen if he has given up the hope of living. But it is not the time to leave now. He tells him to bear with the process as it will greatly hurt him. He forces the heart in his chest, and Chi cries due to immense pain. Yunmu commands the system to reshape his body. The system uses 30,000 yuan and 10,000 experience points and reshapes his body. The other wonders what kind of power it is, as it is not a medical technique they have read about. The system fills the hole and heals him completely. After a while, Chen opens his eyes. He is surprised himself and asks if he is still alive. Anlu tells him not to worry as he is alive and well. It was the senior who saved his life. He asks if she is talking about Lai Yunmu. She tells him to call him senior. Someone just saved his life, so how can he disrespect his benefactor? While they are busy, Yunmu suddenly notices a strange glittering thing. It is a pin with a dragon face. He holds it and asks the system to scan it. The system completes the scan and tells him that this object contains chemical ingredients that can stimulate the dimensional beast burrow bear and increase the chance of evolution. He thinks that his guess was right. The near-death promotion of the Iron Wall Dragon King was not an accident. It is artificial, but just now, only a few people from his family were here. Could someone among them do that on purpose? Suddenly, Anlu interrupts him and says Chen has something to tell him. She pushes him forward. He makes an annoying face and tells her not to push him. He will go by himself. He rolls his eyes and says thanks to him for saving his life. But suddenly, he becomes rude and tells him not to think that as he saved him, Chen would be grateful to him. He will definitely return this favor to him. Anlu tells him to be frank and not rude. Yunmu looks at them and thinks this team has really exceeded his expectations, and the whole team is excellent. He thinks being their team leader is not a bad idea, but he has to find the traitor among them. They reach the place where the second round will be played. Anlu asks why the senior has to pay the Earth Dragon Heart. She is told that these are the rules announced before the game. They do not know who to blame. Anlu tells Chen not to run around and line up here to hand over the tasks. They all line up. Anlu asks if they know the second level, as she is slightly scared. Jiajia asks what she is scared of. They have seniors with them, so they will be fine. Yunmu thinks that the potion that can evolve from golden crystal to rainbow crystal at the level of black crystal, a member of the Jiefeng team, could never have been made by themselves. They cannot defeat the rainbow crystal level dimensional beast. If it were not for him, using the potion could be suicide. 80% of this is aimed at him. He wonders what that guy wants who did that. Someone interrupts his thoughts by calling him. He politely asks if he has an extra iron-walled dragon heart in his hand and if he can trade it with him. He says his team is short of that. That child sitting there has not got it so that he can take pity on him. Yunmu is surprised to see that kid. It is An. The boy tells Yunmu that the kid suddenly decided to participate in the trial, so he arrived today. Yunmu gives the heart to him for free. His team is stunned to see that. Chen asks if he is stupid. He says that the second level is an undifferentiated test. The team leader also needs to pay a tax. What would he do now? Yunmu says he knows the rules better than him. When he passes by the entrance, he is asked to pay the heart as the tax. He says he does not have it to pay. He shows him something and says he hopes it can work. Seeing that badge, that guy stands up and respectfully tells him to come in. The kids are surprised to see the change of tone. Anlu asks him what he showed to that guy. He says it was just an invitation letter. Inside the building, there are a lot of people. Yunmu looks around and thinks more people have passed the first level than he expected. Suddenly, Nuoji comes running towards him and hugs him. Yunmu tells her to be careful with her waist. He asks her why she is here too. She says her grandfather forced her to lead the direct line children of the trade union to practice. Then they all hear someone testing the microphone. The speaker congratulations to everyone for passing the first level of the test. She says it is time to enter the second level. The stage opens, and the chief examiner of the second level appears on it. She tells them that they will enter the second level of the Temple of War trial as a goalkeeper. It is the belief test, and she is the chief examiner of the test, Zuo Ming. She starts the test without any further delay. She uses a mental illusion trick and tells them not to panic. The energy shield will transform into the deepest obsession in their hearts. What is tested this time is the obsession in their hearts. Only those who have a strong obsession will go further. She instructs everyone to gather all the energy from their body in their hands like she is doing. It will become an illusion of their respective beliefs. They can clear the trails if they can withstand her attack and the transformed thing is not broken. The leader of Lingbo City comes forward and says he thought it was a difficult test, but it turned out to be so simple. He says he will come first as he is already a rainbow crystal. Other players think he must pass the test easily as his transformation is a treasure sword. Ming says, right, and whips her whip at her to start with him. But the results are the opposite. His illusion breaks and he falls to the ground. As the transformed thing breaks, he gets eliminated. Anlu is shocked that even the rainbow crystal cannot stop the attack. Yuji tells her that the level of this test is not strength but whether the belief in the heart is strong enough. Ming thought the leader of Lingbo City was arrogant because of his high level, but it did not work. She starts examining the other players. Anlu makes a princess dress, her obsession breaks, and she fails. Jiajia makes a whip, but it is too weak to survive, so he fails too. Yuji's obsession is a book. Ming compliments that Faith is a book and she has seen a lot of it, but his resilience is pretty good. He is the first in the team who passes the test. Chen's obsession is a rigid giant shield that takes the hit and survives, so he also passes. Xintran's faith is also tough, it is a ragdoll. He clears the tests. Yunmu looks at them and thinks this level is really not easy. Anlu and Jiajia were both eliminated. Chen and Yuji's clearance was expected, but the seemingly humble Xintran has such a strong belief. His thoughts get disturbed by Ming when she examines Anne and says she has been an examiner for 4 years, and this is the first time to see such a powerful belief. Anne says that the goal he wants to achieve is different from those people. Yunmu and Nuoji look at him, whose Elusio is Sister Shuang. Bang comes to Yunmu and says he is the last one. She adds that what she cares about the most in this trial is him. Top 1 newcomer. Even Elder Qin Feng is praised for him. She would like to see how he is. She swirls her whip towards him. Anil worries about her senior, who has not begun to transform his belief body. The whip reaches him. His team asks him to get out of the way. The whip hits something and smoke spreads there. Others think that Yunmu has gotten hurt, but when the smoke clears, they see that Yunmu's faith is holding the whip in its hand. He asks Ming when he provoked her as she hit him harder than others. His faith is his shadow number 1. Everyone looks at Yunmu's illusion and wonders what it is as it is bold and handsome. Anne looks at Yunmu and wonders why he is here. Vang tells Yunmu that he has passed the test. She announces that the top 3 in tomorrow's will be the winners of the trials. All players can go back and have a good rest. She thinks he exerted 80% of her strength, which did not hurt him. She calls him a terrible guy. The person in room 409 is talking to someone and apologizes for failing in the mission. The evolutionary Earth Dragon did not cause any harm to Yunmu's body. The person tells the other person on the call not to worry. He will find a chance to start at the 3rd level. The other person tells him not to do this as it is not safe to do it inside the Temple of War, and it is also prone to exposure. While sitting on that bench, Yunmu thinks about Anne. What happened to Sister Shuang has completely changed him. For Anne, the Temple of War is indeed a good choice. Many cultivation resources cannot be bought with money. His juniors come there and ask him why he is sitting there with a sad face. He apologizes to them and says he is going to break his promise. He says only the top 3 in this trial can win. He thought they could send all 3 of them who passed the test into the Temple of War. However, his friend also came to participate in the trials. Entering the Temple of War is very important for him, and Yunmu will help him win the trials anyway. In the next level, he will even help him to compete with those guys. He is no longer worthy of being the leader of the Jifen team. He will go to the Jifen courtyard to explain the situation. Before the test tomorrow, he will find a new leader for them. Chen interrupts and says it is boring. This competition is really dull, and he has had enough. His friends ask what he is thinking about. He replies that he will participate in the 3rd level but will not advance. He looks at Yunmu and tells him to do whatever he wants. He can go and help his friend win. As for the new team leader, there is no need to mention it anymore. The leader of this team will only and can only be Yunmu. Yuji adds that Anlu and Jiajia have already lost the election, and their team will not go separately like this. Jiajia says they should come to learn from each other. After all, they have just entered the school for a year, and their level is limited. Anlu tells him that he must help his friends get the victory. They all will cheer for him. The next day, Ming welcomes everyone to the third level of the test. They all have to enter this space door. Behind the door is a straight upward road. They just need to keep going up, and the 3 people who walk the farthest in 3 hours are the winners. As for the result, there is only one with no rules. She laughs and tells each team's team leaders to be careful and protect their team members. The test begins. Yumu enters the space. On the other side, they find it is a cold, snowy region. He looks at that snowy mountain before him and thinks this should be a secret place somewhere. The wind has a powerful string force, which can stiffen the body. Every snowflake is also extremely sharp. Finding such a secret realm, the war's temple is not easy. He does not know what danger lies ahead. First, he has to settle down with the people of the Jifen team, and then he will go after An. An and his team captain are moving forward. There are no frozen bodies around them. An tells him that the snow is too heavy. It won't last long like this, and he asks why he doesn't go and find the team leader first. He replies that their idiot team leader cannot point to it at all, and he can still be separated from the team members. It is already halfway there, so they should hold on for a while. He remembers he had not asked An about his level, so he asks if An is a black or silver crystal. Yunmu tells him that he is a golden crystal. Surprised, the captain stops and asks if he said golden crystal. He looks at An, smirks, and says it is great. He grabs him by his neck and says he is saved now. He feels his power is being sucked away. Yumu cries and asks him what he is doing. The captain laughs and asks if he feels his string power has disappeared. He tells him that this is his daily heirloom technique, which can absorb the string power of others. He will win as long as he can absorb the energy of his golden crystal. An is screaming because of the pain of being sucked. The captain says no matter how he shouts in this kind of wilderness, it is useless. After sucking all his power, he throws him there and gets ready to run away. He tells An not to worry, he will take his share and go down together. He can freeze into popsicles here. An is weak and helpless and tries to stop him, but his eyes start closing. After a while, he opens his eyes and sees Yunmu dragging him by his leg. Suddenly, he becomes angry. He yells at him and asks why he is here. He tells him to put him down as they are not a team. He does not need his help. He keeps yelling at him. He asks if Yunmu thinks the world revolves around him. He says he is no longer the little minion who will only hide behind him. He is no longer the crybaby who only knows how to rely on him. Yunmu says he can fully understand his hatred for him, and being honest, he hates himself too. Sister Shuang is An's sister, but he also treats her as his eldest sister in his heart. It is because of this that he cannot leave him alone. If he dies like this here, what would he explain to Sister Shuang when he brings her back? He keeps dragging him and tells him it is better to hate his incompetent self than to hate himself. He replies that even the punch that hit him before was anger at his incompetence. He asks why he is so weak and has not worked hard before. Why does he only know to hide behind another person whenever a problem occurs? He has to work hard and has to learn to fight for it. He does not want to be a coward who only relies on others. He does not want to lose anyone anymore, so he wants to become stronger. He wants to protect everyone. Yunmu is still dragging him while he just keeps crying. Yunmu says he knows that all and tells him to stop crying. His tears will freeze in this cold. As he is going up, the snow wind is getting stronger. Suddenly, he sees the captain of An's team. That guy keeps forwarding, thinking he will be the first to win. Yunmu tells him to get out of the way. That guy sees Yunmu dragging An. He says that it seems the younger master of the Ling family has found a new backer again. He tells Yunmu to leave that fuel bottle alone. He asks him how much An gives him and says as long as he keeps him first, he will give him double. Yunmu finds that guy noisy and cuts his throat. After a while, An tells Yunmu to put him down. He has already reached the limit. Even Yunmu's body has started to stiffen. It seems that it is impossible to get 2 people to the end with his string power alone. Now he has only one way. He reaches his inventory and brings out something. A team is coming that way. They have almost reached there with the help of those 2 brothers of the Jing family. If they had not followed those 2, they would have frozen to death long ago. Suddenly, they see Yunmu sitting there with a stop sign. Yunmu greets them and apologizes to them as this road is blocked. Those guys get angry and ask what he means by that. Yunmu points at An and says the kid with the melon skin head over there was the first to reach there. So their end point is there. They ask why he has to be first. They can cross him and go further above. Yunmu says it is because he, Lai Yunmu, has said it to be. They ask who he thinks he is. Those guys attack him together. They do not care if he is the top rookie. He cannot handle so many of them as he is alone. Those 2 brothers of the Jing family see those breathless guys charging at him and laughing. Yunmu uses the Kaoe Great Flame art and burns them all in a flash. One of those brothers is excited to see them burnt to ashes instantly. Yunmu asks them to what they decide to do. Do they want to stop here or want to be like them? One of those two, in a white shirt, asks Yunmu if he thinks they are the same as the trash he just burnt. The combination of the two is still powerful. Yunmu says if they are that confident, they can give it a try. Yunmu thinks those two guys are indeed different from the others. They may have reached the super stringer level. Fighting with them will drain his string power, and later people will take advantage of it. It is better to sting an empty city plan. He decides to use a knife to kill. One of the brothers says that it seems that there is no way. It can only be like this. He starts walking toward Yunmu. He thinks his plan has failed and has to fight those two now, but wonders when he sees him placing a stop sign there. He waves at his brother and tells him he has taken a position for him. The guy asks Yunmu if he only needs 1 iota. He replies yes. He says those two will be fine then. Yunmu is relaxed now as his plan worked. Another team comes this way. Those brothers saw them coming from downward. Those people see those signs and those 3 boys holding the spots. Those two tell the coming team that their journey is over and there is no place here anymore. Those people ask what they mean by that and what those 3 are doing there. They tell them to get out of their way. One brother says he cannot do it. He points at Yunmu and says that the master up there is blocking the way, and they cannot help it. So those 2 brothers had to style for 2nd and 3rd place. That girl asks them to stop talking nonsense. She asks her team to attack them. That guy laughs and says those people do not know how to listen to the advice. He activates his string power and runs towards them to attack them. He slaughters them one by one swiftly. He walks toward that girl. She wonders what is wrong with him as he looks like a ghost. Yunmu watches him fighting and thinks, fortunately, he did not directly deal with these 2 brothers. The group of people behind them is overwhelming. He may not have the energy to protect Anne if he really wants to do something. Now there are 2 people in the 2nd and 3rd positions. It gives him a free guarantee that no one can shake his advantage. They have won this round. At Yunmu's house in the God of War temple, his friends and his team are gathered and having a feast. Yunmu is irritated by their presence and asks why they all are at his place. Anlu lifts the glass for Anne to get 1st place in the selection. She cheers and says Anne is amazing. Anne smiles and says it is all thanks to Yunmu. His dad says that Anne is already a member of the Temple of War and asks if he wants him, the former head of the Temple of War, to start a small business for him. Yunmu does not want Anne to accept the offer, but he accepts it and says it is a good idea. Yunmu tells his father that it is rare that he can always stay here without running around, so he will learn to be good. His father uses martial arts to throw him and asks how dare he say it. He wouldn't have to stay here if Yunmu had not made enemies everywhere. It is all his fault that he lost his freedom. After his father leaves him, his sister comes to him and says he should not look at his father like this. Their father has been worried about him. He asks if she has seen any father who would make a cross to his son. She replies that Yunmu also knows that with dad's character, he cannot relax at all. But in order not to cause any trouble to Yunmu, he stayed in this war temple once a day and never went outside. Seeing him like that every day even makes her feel bore for him. When Yunmu is away, Dad will go to someone to inquire about his news daily for fear of leaving any information behind. The person in the world most worried about Yunmu is probably their dad. Yunmu's anger also cools down hearing all that. They all go to the teleportation square. His sister tells him to be careful outside and visit her and Dad more when he has time. Yunmu tells Xintran to turn on the teleportation, and they all leave that place. Anne sees them go and says he will become stronger as soon as possible and stand by Yunmu's side one day. The teleportation takes them to a weird place. They all wonder where they have come from as this is not the Jiefeng courtyard. Yunmu says they seem to have been teleported to a forest somewhere. Chen asks if there may be a problem with the teleportation array. Yunmu says it is not possible. He thinks they were brought here deliberately. Someone must have changed the parameters of their teleportation array. Some people are standing on the trees and say Yunmu is thinking right. He says it deserves to be Lai Yunmu who actually judged his situation instantly. He originally wanted to kill him by surprise while he was panicking. Yunmu looks at that guy and knows he is from a sacred heavenly sect. Yunmu asks what the dignified and sacred heavenly sect went to great lengths to get him here. That guy tells him not to be confused with understanding here. They are here to find him. It is time to avenge their leader. Yunmu laughs at them and says his body cannot move due to his fear of them. Someone attacks him instantly when he is busy talking, but he gets alert on time. Yunmu was attacked by the traitor and his team. As the smoke clears, he sees her. She grabs her hair, cuts the short with a knife, and says Tunmu is really hard to deal with. She thought the advanced Iron Wall Dragon King could kill him. She did not expect that beast to be killed by him so easily. She had to change her strategy then. Although it took a lot of effort, she finally completed her mission. Anlu cannot believe her eyes. The traitor is Xintran. She says she has pretended to be a good girl for long enough. Chen asks her what nonsense she is talking about. He orders her to return to the team immediately. She smiles, says she has played enough house games like the team, and tells him to find someone willing to accompany him to continue playing. Then she says goodbye to them and turns to leave. Anlu runs after her and asks if they are not best friends, but she attacks her. Luckily, Chen blocks her attack with his word and saves Anlu. Xintran walks away and tells that man from the heavenly sect to give her things as she has completed her mission. He smirks and tells her not to worry as he will give it to her after getting rid of him. Yunmu looks at her and tells her that she almost killed her friend just now. She replies she does not need friends. This brings tears to Anlu's eyes. That man of the heavenly sect laughs and says it really made him watch a touching show. Then he tells his men to kill them. His men charge at the kids. Chen orders his team to enter the combat position, but he feels it decreases immediately when he tries to use his string power. Jiajia tells him that he cannot condense his string power. The leader of the heavenly sect tells them that this is the cursed land of Hongmen province. Once a robust man falls here, this place corrupts his string power. No one can use his string force freely here. The deeper someone goes, the more strenuous it will be to use the string force. No matter how high their class is, it is useless here. He tells the kids that they are dead now. Suddenly, those two attackers get smashed by Nuoji and Yunmu. She says she thought it was a big deal. After a long time, she only needs to use her physical skills. They tell the leader of the heavenly sect that if he wants to compare physical skills, he has got the wrong people. That guy sent another 2 men to catch them. Yunmu asks Nuoji if she is ready as they are coming. She says she will not hide behind him anymore. She will fight with him this time. She uses the octopus collapse technique and takes them both in one attack. The rest of the men decide to save her for the last time as she knows the ancient boxing and go for Yunmu. He rushes towards the one and hits him near his neck. The second one considers it a good chance and attacks him with his blade from behind. Yunmu turns back, grabs his arm, and throws him to the ground. The junior kids are amazed to see them. Jiajia says they do not look like they are just 1 year older than them. Yunmu and Nuoji cheer each other on doing a good job. That guy tells him that it is too early to celebrate. He says he made a mistake. He did not expect their physical skill to be so vital. But even if they both are martial arts masters, there are only 2. Even if they can fight again for now, eventually they will get tired. He orders his army of men to come out. There are tens of people. Yunmu salutes him and says the scared heavenly sect really looks up to him. A little person like him can let them use so many people, but he also has a lot of people. Then he calls his shadows to appear. Everyone gets scared and wonders what these things are. There are nearly 100 ghosts there. That guy wonders if this is some kind of summoning technique. He thinks it is impossible because his string force should be weak now. Yunmu stretches and says it is almost that much at first. After all, he does not have much string power in a place like this, so they should fight quickly. He orders the Shadow Legion to bring the heads of all those men to him. The shadows attack them and start killing them.